Chapter 91 set out to condense the poisonous fire of the netherworld. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then you want to test it? Xiao Yan smiled vaguely and opened the lid. Just give it a try. Can you still poison me, the #1 alchemist in the continent? Yao Lao released a ray of soul and penetrated into the jade bottle, just slightly touching the liquid in the bottle. The unsuspecting Yao Lao suddenly withdrew his soul body as if he had touched countless needle points. Why does it still have soul power? Xiao Yan smiled and closed the lid. You don't know this yet. How do I know what a little guy like you is thinking? Yao Lao looked at the vial in shock. He had just released a little bit of soul power, and he was completely unprepared, and he capsized directly in the gutter. Based on this little thing could really poison a Dou Ling level character to death, Xiao Yan explained. For the strong men in Dou Qi Continent, after their strength reaches a certain level, even if their physical body dies, they may leave behind their soul body. Since it is poisonous to people, naturally it cannot leave a source of trouble, right? Yao Lao smiled awkwardly. It's not like you stayed by my side in vain. Putting away the medicine cauldron, Xiao Yan took the jade bottle and walked excitedly into the house, finally starting to condense the nether poison fire. At this time, the little medical fairy had also digested the power of the poison, looked at the colorful fighting spirit in the palm of his hand, and smiled slightly. The Innate poison body was not as terrifying as recorded in the 7-colored poison sutra. In such a short period of time, she became a 3-star fighter. This kind of cultivation speed is really terrifying. I am afraid that the cultivation speed of the top 10 powerful men in the Jiama Empire cannot be compared. How's your practice going? Xiao Yan asked. The little medical fairy put away her fighting spirit and said with a smile, you know my physique, and my skills are also passed down from me. How can you still be unclear about it? Xiao Yan is extremely talented, and Xiao Yan's fiancé is a disciple of the Yunlan sect's leader. Both of them are extraordinary figures. Compared with these two people, she always felt that she was ordinary and had nothing to offer. Looking at it now, it turns out that the poisonous body is not all bad. In a few years, she will become a powerful person. Walking to the bed and sitting down, Xiao Yan sensed it carefully. I'm going to be a 3-star fighter soon. It's really awesome. If I continue to practice like this, I might have to rely on you to protect me in the future. I won't protect you. The little medical fairy stretched his waist. When the time comes, I will lock you in a small dark room. Huh? Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly widened a bit. It is said that women's hearts are the most poisonous. You are still a little girl, how can you be so cruel? The little medical fairy sighed twice. I'm just helping you. Help me? Xiao Yan was confused. The little medical fairy gently twirled her hair and said, I heard from Brother Xiao Ding that you have a fiancé you have never met. If she turns out to be extremely ugly, won't it be the end of you from now on? I will arrest you when the time comes. The Yunlan sect is afraid of my strength and does not dare to ask for someone from me. The Xiao family is not considered a breach of trust. Do you think I have done you a big favor? Xiao Yan said oh and looked at the fair and tender face of the little medical fairy. You are kind, how should I thank you? Otherwise, I won't be able to beat you by then. Why don't I marry you while I still have some advantage now? I hope that if I can show my kindness to you, at least I won't be locked up in a dark room in the future. The pretty face of the little medical fairy was a little hot, and she raised her white and tender feet and kicked Xiao Yan. I don't have a formal appearance. You are willing to do it, but I don't want to do it yet. Xiao Yan smiled. Compared to being trapped in the shadow of her non-poison body, the little medical fairy is now much more cheerful. Stop making trouble. The little medical fairy touched his belly. After I practiced the 3 paths of poison code, I didn't feel anything special. I just felt hungry. Give me 2 more pills of the poison. It has been prepared for a long time. Xiao Yan stretched out his hand to show the jade bottle in his hand to the little medical fairy. It only takes 1 drop of Jianni poison water to poison a strong spirit fighter to death. Take a small sip first and try it. Even fighting spirits can be poisoned to death. The little medical fairy took the jade bottle and hesitated for a moment. Although I am a poisonous body, but this poison is so powerful, I won't be strangled to death, right? Xiao Yan muttered. I thought about it just now. In order not to be too different in strength from you, I decided to practice with you. Half of the energy you use to refine the poison will be given to me, so I will never be poisoned to death. You know so much about the Innate poison body. Could it be that you are also an Innate poison body? Or do you have a similar physique to the Innate poison body? The little medical fairy said with some joy. I don't have such luck. Xiao Yan shook his head. I just mastered a secret method of cultivation. How to absorb it? The little medical fairy was a little surprised. This highly poisonous thing that most people avoid, I'm afraid only the non-poison body likes it. I didn't expect that Xiao Yan could master the secret method of absorbing the highly poisonous poison. Xiao Yan looked at the little medical fairy's crystal clear lips and said, of course you gave it to me after you transformed it. Abnormal. The little medical fairy screamed, how could there be such a strange cultivation method? After a moment of silence, the little medical fairy seemed to be about to die heroically. Come if you are not afraid of being poisoned. There is probably only one person in this world who is not afraid of disaster and poisonous bodies. If Xiao Yan dies, her life will be meaningless. I lied to you, just face each other with your palms. Xiao Yan raised his hand and scratched the little medical fairy's nose. The little medical fairy's face turned red. She pulled out the jade stopper in her hand, and took a sip of Tiani poison water. I'd better poison you, a bad guy, to death. This poisonous water was colorless and odorless, almost like boiled water, but after just a small sip, the little medical fairy seemed drunk. In 1 or 2 breaths, the delicate dimples were covered with red clouds, the whole body felt hot, and the delicate skin was covered with an attractive blush. Wisps of colorful poisonous gas were released uncontrollably from the pores of the little medical fairy. His head began to feel heavy and he almost fainted. What a powerful poison! The little medical fairy quickly sat cross-legged. Xiao Yan was sitting cross-legged opposite the little medical fairy. His hands were on the little medical fairy's palms, pulling the poison emitted by the little medical fairy and absorbing it into his own meridians. The two people's skills were running, and the 3 paths of poison code doubled the effect of the little medical fairy's poison body. The poison of Tiani poison water was quickly transformed into a special fighting spirit exclusive to the poison body. It's just that the little medical fairy couldn't completely absorb it for a while, and a lot of this fighting spirit accumulated outside the body through the pores. This time it was much stronger than before. The colorful light made the whole room flicker, which looked quite strange in the middle of the night. Is this kid okay? Yao Lao looked at Xiao Yan who was practicing with his eyes closed and couldn't help but feel worried. The poison in the poisonous water that day was transformed by the little Dr. Xian Yi's poisonous body, and the energy released was much more toxic. Xiao Yan's absorption of this energy was no less dangerous than fusing a wild strange fire. Chapter 92 Complementing each other, 2 different fires. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yao Lao's idea makes sense, but it's not entirely right. The Xianhuang flame and Yin-Yang flame condensed by Xiao Yan have grown up. Once the poisonous energy pours into Xiao Yan's body, it may be incinerated and purified. Xiao Yan was safe, but under such circumstances, the difficulty in absorbing enough poison to condense the nether poison fire was no less than fusing a wild strange fire. I saw wisps of poisonous energy being pulled into Xiao Yan's meridians, and the strong toxicity immediately eroded Xiao Yan's meridians. With a hiss, the poison had penetrated through the meridians and bones, and penetrated into the flesh and skin. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Yan's palms were covered with colorful threads, which was very strange. What a strong poison! Xiao Yan frowned slightly as he experienced the power of the poisonous energy transformed by the little medical fairy. If he hadn't resisted in advance due to his extremely tough physical condition and extremely pure alien fire-fighting spirit, he probably wouldn't have been able to hold on for a few breaths. One of the ways of poison is to defeat the strong with the weak. Although the little medical fairy's current strength is mediocre, the poison she masters is beyond the ability of ordinary fighting masters and fighting spirits to resist. With a thought in Xiao Yan's mind, the black and white strange fire-fighting energy within the meridians immediately met the 7-colored poison. Although this poison is powerful, when it encounters the scorching flames fused by the yin and yang flames and the black and yellow flames, it has the potential to collapse in an instant. However, Xiao Yan absorbed these poisonous energy in order to condense the poisonous fire of the netherworld, so naturally he would not do something stupid like absorbing the poison and then using his energy to detoxify it. Realizing the power of poisonous energy, Xiao Yan accurately controlled the temperature of the strange fire, greatly reducing the power of poisonous energy. With only a ray of energy left, he slowly moved forward along the route of the burning star technique. Even if there is only one strand left, the toxicity is so strong that Xiao Yan's meridians are still twitching. If it were an ordinary great fighting master, his meridians would have been damaged by the poison and he would have become a useless person. However, Xiao Yan used Yao Lao's burning blood and the medicine's upgraded burning blood to practice the burning sky body refining technique, and his physical fitness far exceeded that of people of the same level. This pain was nothing to him. Moreover, Xiao Yan's fighting qi technique, burning star technique, in addition to enhancing his strength, can also absorb the power of stars to condense 3,000 flames. Therefore, this fighting spirit has a healing effect. I saw Xiao Yan's black and white color with a hint of purple fighting spirit, running for a week according to the trajectory of the burning star technique. Soothed by the dense purple light, Xiao Yan's damaged folds of meridians returned to their original state at a speed visible to the naked eye. The majestic fighting spirit is wrapped in a ray of colorful lines of energy, and all of them return to the cyclone of fighting. However, under the baking heat of Xiao Yan's scorching Dou Zhi cyclone, this wisp of poisonous energy began to slowly dissipate. The technique has been running for a week, and after getting used to the power of this poisonous energy, Xiao Yan began to increase the speed of absorbing the poisonous energy transformed from the body surface of the little medical fairy, and at the same time relaxed the suppression of the strange fire fighting energy in his body. During this rise and fall, Xiao Yan absorbed quite a lot of powerful toxins. The colorful energy passed through and penetrated directly into the meridians, causing the bones to be contaminated with the toxicity of the colorful colors. However, soon, the power of the stars contained in Xiao Yan's fighting spirit covered it, repairing the damage to the body. Because his body was constantly damaged and he was constantly mobilizing the power of the stars to repair it, Xiao Yan's body suddenly turned into a black hole, rapidly absorbing the energy emitted by the stars. In just a few breaths, visible silver beams of light gradually appeared around Xiao Yan and poured into Xiao Yan's body. What's going on? Yao Lao was startled. Wasn't he condensing the poisonous fire of the netherworld? Why was he sucking up the power of the stars? After a while, Xiao Yan's body was surrounded by a rich silver light, as if he was wearing a thick layer of armor. The little medical fairy with colorful halo around her body has a unique elegant temperament. At this time, Xiao Yan no longer restricted the absorption of poisonous energy into his body, sucking in the energy emitted from the body of the little medical fairy like a whale drinking from a cow. If you want to successfully condense the nether poison fire, you need to accumulate enough powerful poison, but Xiao Yan's Doujing is different. It is the condensed form of two semi-different fires, Xian Huang Yan, Yin and Yang double flame, and the prototype of the 3000 Yen fire. A small amount of poison has entered the Dou Zhi cyclone. If there is no source to replenish it, it will be purified by the hot temperature in the Dou Zhi cyclone in less than half a day. Xiao Yan can only absorb enough poison to counteract the purification of the Dou Zhi cyclone. Moreover, the netherworld poison fire is extremely poisonous, and the 3000 flame fire has an excellent healing effect. The two complement each other, and in fact help to condense the strange fire. Looking at the little medical fairy who broke through the 3-star fighter and approached the 4-star fighter, Yao Lao was horrified. Anan's poisonous body is already extremely terrifying. This little fairy has practiced the skills taught by Xiao Yan and has become even more powerful. Incredible! In half a year, Xiao Yan broke through from a fighter to a great fighter, and his training speed was already extraordinary. Unexpectedly, the little medical fairy's cultivation speed was even better. It took less than a day to break through to the 4-star fighter, and there was still enough energy left to continue to break through. If he maintained this level of effort, his future cultivation speed would definitely be faster than Xiao Yan's. The toxicity of Tianyi poison water is extremely severe, and even a drop of it is somewhat beyond the absorption limit of the little medical fairy. If Xiao Yan hadn't shared the burden, the little medical fairy would have fainted and let his body slowly absorb it. Now that Xiao Yan is sharing the burden, the little medical fairy transforms the energy of Tianyi poison water and Continues to take advantage of the non-poison body, and his strength increases much faster than ordinary people. Practicing in this way will benefit both Xiao Yan and the little medical immortal. However, Xiao Yan enjoyed greater benefits. After using the technique for more than 2 hours, Xiao Yan completely understood the relationship between the poisonous energy in his body and the power of the stars. Compared with the strange fire that is the fusion of Xianhuang Yan and Yin-Yang double flame, the power of the stars is relatively gentle, and the purification of poisonous poisons is lighter. The two stimulate each other, and each other is like the Yang fire and Yin fire of the Yin and Yang twin flames, coexisting and coexisting. Due to the accumulation of poison, it has occupied part of the position in the cyclone of Dou Zhi. Under high compression, the 7-colored poison appears in a dark green color under the baking of the strange fire. With a thought in Xiao Yan's mind, he immediately activated the power of the stars accumulated in about half a year, wrapped up the poison of the Dou Zhi cyclone, and poured it into the black and white Dou Jing, protected by the power of the stars. When the poison passed through Dou Jing's hot crystal wall, although there was some loss, it was completely offset by the power of the stars and was not affected by the Yin-Yang dual flames and Xianhuang flames outside Dou Jing. The effects of fusion fire, the power of the purple stars and the green poison were poured into the Dou Jing. In an instant, Xiao Yan's Dou Jing underwent tremendous changes. The crystal wall of Dou Jing is black and white, with an inconspicuous black-yellow color outside the black and white. The inside of Dou Jing appears purple, and there is a faint green color in this purple. After the complete infusion of energy was completed, Xiao Yan's body shook slightly, as if the 2 meridians of Ren and Du had been opened. The power of the stars and the poisonous energy have a more perfect place to gather. The poison absorbed is no longer a wasted effort, but like thousands of rivers returning to the sea, there was almost no loss of poisonous power, and it was poured into Dou Jing under the coercion of the power of stars. Yao Lao has been watching the cultivation status of Xiao Yan and the two, and Xiao Yan's changes naturally cannot be hidden from his eyes. What happened? Why do I feel that this little guy Xiao Yan has undergone incredible changes? But even if the nether poison fire is successfully condensed, such earth-shaking changes cannot happen. The power of the stars that Xiao Yan had absorbed for many days finally showed its effect at this moment. Under the stimulation of the poison, the power of the stars became highly solidified, turning from purple to black, and gradually tended to condense into 3,000 flames of fire. As Xiao Yan's cultivation gradually improved, traces of purple-black flames quietly seeped out of his pores. Then, like tiny vines, it wrapped around his body, tempering his skin, muscles, and even bones in a strange tempering method. Purple-black flames, this is not poisonous fire from the underworld. Yao Lao's eyes suddenly widened a bit. This is 3,000 flames of fire. 3,000 stars flame is purple-black in color, and when it is extremely concentrated, it will appear pure black. It is also known as the 3,000 stars sky flame. The fire is purple-black, formed in the starry sky, and can absorb the power of the stars, constantly becoming stronger. Because it is in a place in the starry sky that is difficult for ordinary people to reach, it is very mysterious. This kind of strange fire possesses a very special ability, which is the rumored 3,000 starry sky physique. Some strong men who have fought against those who have possessed the 3,000 flames of fire call it unforgettable. Dead body, this kind of physique has extremely strong recovery ability. As long as it is not blasted to pulp, it can be recovered, but it is only a matter of time. It only took Xiao Yan half a year to condense such a powerful alien fire. Yao Lao couldn't believe it. In just half a year, 3,000 Yanhua was born. These 3,000 flames are terrifying alien fires that rank higher than his bone spirit cold fire. Yao Lao thought based on common sense and inevitably overlooked one point. The strange fire condensed by Xiao Yan is no different from the new strange fire between heaven and earth. It is not the terrifying strange fire that Yao Lao had in his mind that has grown up over countless years. It will take a long time to grow if you want to truly develop your reputation on the alien fire rankings. The terrifying temperature kept rising along with the flames, becoming more and more scorching. In just a few breaths, the whole room seemed to be plunged into the scorching heat of midsummer. 3,000 flames of fire are really going to be condensed. Yao Lao took a breath of hot air, shocked in his heart, and ready to take action to protect the little medical fairy at any time. Under the influence of Xiao Yan, bean-sized beads of sweat appeared on the little doctor's forehead, and the accumulated colorful halo on the body's surface flickered. The 3 paths of poison code technique ran a little faster, accelerating the absorption and refining. It became extremely poisonous, the little medical fairy's cultivation speed increased greatly, and the colorful halo on the surface of the body began to converge into the body at a speed visible to the naked eye. This change inevitably caused Xiao Yan to compete for the remaining poison. "Is everything okay?" Looking at the rosy-faced little medical fairy, who showed no sign of pain, Yao Lao murmured, and then shook his head suddenly. "This is only 1 share of the poisonous energy. I'm afraid the 2 of them are not going to fight for it now. Grab it." That while thinking about it, the poison on the body surface of the little medical fairy had been almost absorbed, and she returned to her white-clothed appearance. However, in the increasingly hot environment, her body still needed more poison to resist the high temperature. Yao Lao couldn't help but feel a little anxious. It was easy for him to lower his temperature to protect the little medical fairy, but now it was a matter of cultivation, and he was a little unable to deal with it. Both of these 2 people are practicing extremely advanced skills. If I interrupt them, I don't know what damage will be caused. Especially Xiao Yan, who is in a state of condensing alien fire. Ugh. During the practice, Xiao Yan could feel that the poison on the body surface of the little medical fairy was gone. A suction force was released from the slender jade hands of the little medical fairy, and the poisonous energy began to tear at the meridians of his palms. Xiao Yan knew that his 3000 flame was beginning to take shape. Even if it was just taking shape, this strange fire that ranked 9th on the list of strange fires was not something that the current little medical fairy could bear. If the little medical fairy now loses the energy to practice, his life may be in danger. As soon as he thought, the Dou Jing in Xiao Yan's body suddenly trembled, and a large amount of poisonous energy immediately poured into the meridians and was delivered to the little medical fairy. After Xiao Yan's second transformation, the power of this poison has increased to a higher level. It is an excellent growth nourishment for the little medical fairy who is burdened with the poisonous body. This poison poured into the little medical fairy's body, and the little medical fairy's eyebrows relaxed slightly, and her body felt indescribably happy. After streams of poisonous energy were sent out, Xiao Yan immediately poured the tempered energy of heaven and earth into the source of the poison in Dou Jing. The source of the poison is immersed in the high-concentration alien fire Dou crystal, which has gradually been contaminated by the characteristics of the flame. Now it can also be nourished by the energy of heaven and earth, but the speed is not as fast as the absorption of poison. The poison that Xiao Yan output was too pure, and the little medical fairy could not completely refine it in a short time. A stream of poison was lost along the meridians of Xiao Yan's palm. After receiving the poisonous energy delivered by the little medical fairy, the poisonous origin in Xiao Yan Dou Jing also began to evolve significantly, gradually catching up with the condensation speed of 3000 flames. Looking at the 2 people helping each other, Yao Lao couldn't help but sigh in shock. Could it be that the little medical fairy and Xiao Yan are destined to be destined by heaven? On the road of cultivation, most of them are done by one person. Even though they have some combined fighting skills and exercises, it is really rare in the world to be in such a natural cultivation state as that of the little medical fairy and Xiao Yan. If this level of cultivation were converted into a skill level, it would probably be comparable to the level of the heavenly realm. Under the tempering of the purple-black flames, Xiao Yan's fair skin gradually took on a hint of bronze, which made his body feel even more full of strength. The legendary immortal body was born. With Xiao Yan achieving the immortal body, the 3000 flame fire ranked 9th in the alien fire rankings was successfully condensed. Chapter 93, Evolution of Kung Fu, Earth Level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The diamond-shaped Dou Jing suddenly burst out with a violent absorption force, and all the purple-black flames that filled Xiao Yan's body were absorbed into the Dou Jing and condensed into 3000 flames of fire. At the same time, the green poison in Dou Jing accumulated to a certain level. Under the suppression of 3000 flames, the green poison was highly compressed, and the poison and fire of the netherworld were created in conjunction with each other. The netherworld poison fire ranked 20th, which was far from the 9th ranked 3000 flame fire. Moreover, the methods of condensation between the two are also very different, so there is a huge disparity in the time of condensation. The power of the stars is extremely elusive, and Xiao Yan can only absorb it purely through his skills. Naturally, it will take years and months to achieve it. As for the highly toxic energy, Xiao Yan absorbed a huge energy source supply, the two strange fires condensed, and the sun also rose at this time, and the warm sunshine dispelled the darkness of the night. With the help of the nether poison fire, the poison in Xiao Yan's body reached the same level as the poison in the little medical fairy's body. The poison no longer circulated. The two of them ended their training at the same time and slowly recovered their skills, slowly exhaling a breath of turbid air, feeling the colorful fighting energy filling his body. The little medical fairy was extremely shocked. After just one practice, her strength reached the level of a 9-star fighter. Not to mention the little medical fairy, even the Yao Lao was dumbfounded. If this continues, wouldn't it be possible to reach the level of Dou Zhi in just a few years? Although he is not as good at refining medicine as he is in fighting spirit cultivation, his speed of promotion is also rare in mainland China. If it took a few years for a little girl to catch up with him, it would be somewhat difficult to accept. For a while, he knew a little about the training speed of the Innate poison body, but it was not as fast as the little medical immortal's training. In addition to the current cultivation conditions of the little medical fairy, this is probably thanks to the skills taught by Xiao Yan. One little monster is not enough, now I have found a companion. Yao Lao looked at the two of them, shook his head slightly, and flew out of the window. After watching the practice all night, I got a headache. The little medical fairy looked at Xiao Yan, whose eyes were shining brightly, and straightened her hair with her jade hands. How is your practice going? That his eyes moved down from the fairy doctor's jade face, looking at the pair of well-developed steamed dumplings. Xiao Yan smiled. I'm hungry. The little fairy doctor gave Xiao Yan an angry look. There is no formal appearance. You are full after taking poison. I didn't eat much last night. Xiao Yan moved his neck. Who told you to look evil? The little medical fairy stretched out her white feet to kick Xiao Yan, put on her socks, and got up to wash up. After freshening up, the little medical fairy looked at Xiao Yan, who was still on the bed. I'm going to heat up the leftovers from last night, and you should get up quickly. There are already 4.5 types of strange fires in his body. Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched his chin. Although it is a new type of strange fire, this time it has condensed 2 kinds of strange fires. It is time for some changes in the skill. Xiao Yan has studied the training of Fenju. This line very clearly. The strange fire is the energy source, the power law is the driving method, and the cultivator serves as the carrier of both. If it can't be carried, it will be over. If it can be carried well, it can activate the power of the strange fire. One kind of strange fire is quite terrifying and difficult to resist. When several kinds of strange fire come together, the power will naturally increase to several levels. It's just that the energy of the newborn alien fire is very low, which is far from the mature alien fire. It is difficult for significant evolution to occur directly, and it still needs a little artificial repair. After the meal, Xiao Yan looked at the little medical fairy who was clearing the table. The 3 paths of poison code is very profound. In the future, when you fight with others, you will rely on your understanding of poison condensing goo. You have to understand it carefully. I will give you poison to practice at night. The little medical fairy did not realize that what he was practicing was a flawed technique. He smiled and said, now my strength has reached that of a 9-star fighter. It doesn't matter if I don't practice for 10 days and a half. Your disaster poison body has been fully activated. It's impossible without practice. Learn the techniques well. Xiao Yan walked out of the room. The little medical fairy needed an epiphany, and he, as a teacher, also had to study for his own practice. In the quiet valley, Xiao Hong lay lazily. The energy contained in the pill yesterday was extremely good, but it has not been completely refined even now. Xiao Yan sat cross-legged on the grass, took a deep breath of the fresh mountain air, and his mind became much clearer. Looking at Xiao Yan, who had obviously changed from yesterday, Yao Lao coughed twice. What changes occurred in your practice last night? Show it and let me see. Following the sound, Xiao Yan noticed the machine bird standing on the head of the little red wolf. Teacher, you are here. You only have that little medical fairy left in your eyes. How can you still have me as your teacher? Yao Lao said a little sourly, the little medical fairy is now a 9-star fighter. How is your cultivation? Don't let this little girl, if I catch up with you, I will be embarrassed. Xiao Yan smiled, there aren't any big changes. If the teacher wants to see it, let me give you some pointers. Slowly stretching out his hands, Xiao Yan thought, and 2 extremely hot flames suddenly rose in his palms. One is purple-black in color, with faint starlight flowing, one is green in color, exuding a soul-catching gloom. As soon as the flames appeared, Xiao Hong seemed to be about to explode. She crouched and looked at the flames in Xiao Yan's palm in horror. Although the thing doesn't look like much, the keen vigilance of the Warcraft can clearly sense that these 2 people can kill it with just a few clicks. Lie down peacefully. Yao Lao patted Xiao Hong's head and fluttered his wings to fly towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Hong slowly took a few steps back and then became quiet. Yao Lao looked at Xiao Yan's palm with wide eyes. Netherworld poisonous fire. 3,000 flames of fire. This is a famous flame on the list of strange fires, and you still say it hasn't changed at all. Xiao Yan took a deep breath and put away the flame, because it is condensed by one's own fighting spirit, and it is used at the same time, it consumes a lot of fighting spirit. The strange fire does not have much power when it is first born. It will need majestic energy to grow in the future. It is indeed difficult to change when it is first condensed. As he said, Xiao Yan sighed, as for being surpassed by the little medical fairy, it is probably a matter of sooner or later. Huh. Yao Lao thought it made sense at first, but at the end he suddenly raised his head. Xiao Yan's talent is not bad. Now he has 4 kinds of strange fires, but he can't compare to a little medical fairy. Xiao Yan answered, every time there is an additional kind of strange fire, it will share more of the energy I absorb, and in the end I will get less. You condensed the strange fire, but you harmed yourself. Yao Lao's soul body separated from the puppet and floated in mid-air. Xiao Yan waved his hand. In the early stage, the condensed strange fire has no effect. But if you wait for the strange fire to grow, such as Xianhuang Yan and Yin and Yang double flame, it will be very beneficial to refining medicine and practicing. It's just that the netherworld poison fire and the 3,000 flame are far superior to the Xianhuang flame and the Yin and Yang double flame. It will be more difficult for these 2 kinds of strange fire to grow. Looking up at the residents in the valley, Xiao Yan said solemnly, on the other hand, the little medical fairy has no restrictions on swallowing the poison. It can't be compared, it can't be compared. Yao Lao pondered and nodded. After Xiao Yan cultivated it for half a year, he finally managed to cultivate the flame that merged the 2 different fires, Xianhuang Yan and Yin Yang double flame, into something like it. The nether poison fire is still ranked higher than the Yin and Yang flames, not to mention the 9th rank strange fire of 3,000 flames. It is even more difficult to cultivate these 2 kinds of strange fire. Little guy, practice hard, otherwise you will be in danger in the future. Yao Lao smiled. What danger am I in? Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. You don't know. Yao Lao returned to the machine bird. You little guy is always messing around with women. Let's see what you do when the little medical fairy surpasses you in strength in the future. Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched his nose. Teacher, you are wrong, the netherworld poison fire absorbs the poison and grows. The little medical fairy's methods are extremely powerful for ordinary people, but for me who masters the netherworld poison fire, every move is an excellent tonic. Slowly closing his eyes, Xiao Yan shook off the distracting thoughts in his mind, formed a cultivation seal with his hands, and activated the burning star technique. When the skill was activated, Xiao Yan's body suddenly turned into a black hole. The space around him fluctuated slightly, and wisps of faint energy emerged, pouring into Xiao Yan's body continuously. In the quiet valley, a strong wind suddenly blew, and even the clouds in the sky were affected. Practicing in this small valley where the energy of heaven and earth is already rich, in less than a moment, the energy gushing out of the space around Xiao Yan became more and more concentrated. As for this energy, Xiao Yan never refuses it, and his body is like an abyss that cannot be filled, quickly refining those who come. Seeing Xiao Yan practicing like a whale, Yao Lao expressed doubts about Xiao Yan's words just now. Can this cultivation speed be slower, that there are 4 kinds of strange fires in his body? Xiao Yan can refine the energy of the world faster than before, and the speed of absorbing the energy of the world will naturally increase accordingly. Of course, the 2 extra strange fires had more than just this impact. The poison of the netherworld poison fire flows through, and for Xiao Yan, who is not a person with a poisonous body, the meridians will be damaged every time, and the damage it brings will even penetrate into the bones, flesh and blood. However, with 3,000 flames of fire, these damages were repaired by the more powerful 3,000 flames of flame just after they were caused. Between destruction and repair, Xiao Yan's physical fitness was obviously improving. Xiao Yan, who was paying attention to the changes around him, couldn't help but think of the body training technique he created, the burning sky body refining technique. Originally, it was to absorb the power of the blood-burning medicine, and he took advantage of the situation to create this technique to maximize the power of the blood-burning medicine and hone his physical fitness. Nowadays, even Yao Lao's upgraded burning blood can only bring about the same improvement as the damage and repair brought by the 2 types of strange fires. The body refining effect caused by the strange fire gave Xiao Yan a flash of inspiration in his mind. Now there are 4 formed strange fires in the body: Xian Huang Yan, Yin and Yang double flame, netherworld poison fire, and 3,000 flame fire. There is also half of the finished beast spirit fire and the nailing spirit. It is extremely difficult to cultivate these strange fires, so there is no need to devote all your attention to the research of new strange fires. Increasing the number of strange fires will further reduce the speed of level improvement. Consolidating your own gains is now the top priority. While the technique was running, the contents of the burning sky body refining technique appeared in Xiao Yan's mind, which mirrored each other with the burning star technique fighting chi technique. When he started practicing seriously, Xiao Yan became as motionless as an old monk in meditation. The sun gradually sets in the west, and the afterglow of the setting sun seems to cover the valley with a golden veil. You used the burning sky body refining technique and burning star technique to deduce, and you had an epiphany. You understood the great burning flame star transformation. The stars of the great burning flame change, and the flow of fighting energy has an outstanding body refining effect. Blessed by 4 kinds of strange fires in the body, the speed of absorbing and refining the energy of the world is greatly increased, and the skill level is promoted to the lower level of the earth level. The triple results of increased strange fire in the body, increased skill characteristics, and blessing of understanding cannot be directly applied to the second person. As soon as he understood the technique, Xiao Yan naturally started practicing according to this new technique. Suddenly, the surrounding space fluctuated violently, and waves of fiery red-hot energy surged out around Xiao Yan, and then like long red snakes, coiled around the surface of his body, and finally followed his body. He breathed and penetrated all the way into his body. The rich energy of heaven and earth in the small valley was biased towards the fire attribute energy due to Xiao Yan's practice. As Xiao Yan's cultivation deepened, the energy condensed around his body seemed to turn into a huge energy vortex, affected by the great burning star transformation technique. This energy vortex turned into a blazing red color at a speed visible to the naked eye, like a flaming dragon, circling in the valley. Yao Lao, who was about to fall asleep, was instantly awakened by the huge movement. Oh my God! Looking at the scene in front of him, Yao Lao immediately lost his composure. Is this promotion, or? The technique of burning Ju is already extremely weird, and Xiao Yan, who has practiced burning Ju, is even more weird and unpredictable. From the first day of this little guy's practice, he couldn't understand it. The energy of heaven and earth in the small valley is extremely rich, and Xiao Yan does not have to worry about energy depletion at all while practicing here. As more and more fire-attributed energy penetrated into Xiao Yan's body, his skin gradually turned red, white mist emerged from his head, and blue veins trembled on his skin like earthworms. It looked quite scary. Under the continuous infusion of external energy, the diamond-shaped Dou Jing within Xiao Yan Dou's cyclone began to grow slowly. Yao Lao's eyes narrowed slightly. With his strength, he could naturally feel Xiao Yan's rising aura. However, there are many scenes where Xiao Yan's aura rises, and it is often not only a breakthrough in strength, but also other things. Therefore, even he was still unable to determine what changes had occurred in Xiao Yan. However, what is at least certain now is that Xiao Yan's strength has broken through to a 2-star fighting master, and this momentum has no intention of stopping. I really believe you. Yao Lao couldn't help but recall what Xiao Yan said this morning, that the speed of cultivation would be reduced due to the strange fire. If this speed is considered low, then 99% of the geniuses in Dou Qi Continent will be ashamed to death. Chapter 94 Breakthrough, 4-Star Fighting Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Xiao Yan's skills and cultivation level advanced, the Dou Qi whirlpool in his body expanded from a small pond into a small lake, and the Dou Qi contained in it doubled in length. Many meridians, bones, muscles, etc. have also been strengthened by this change, making the power in the body stronger and stronger. As Xiao Yan's promotion gradually entered a fever pitch, the fluctuations in the valley became more and more intense. After arriving, the surrounding area of the valley seemed to be covered by red fire energy. Xiao Yan's figure was like a black hole, sitting in the center of the energy, greedily devouring all the energy pouring into his body. This seemingly endless devouring lasted for nearly 2 hours. The rich red fire attribute energy filled in the valley gradually faded and slowly came to an end. In the valley, when the last trace of free fire energy penetrated into Xiao Yan's body, silence returned to the valley. The tyrannical aura that permeated his body was also retracted into his body at this moment without leaking out at all. The energy gathered in the valley disappeared. To Yao Lao's surprise, Xiao Yan's strength did not rise as much as he expected after absorbing the majestic energy. Hey, what a guy full of surprises. Yao Lao looked at Xiao Yan, whose face was as warm as jade, and nodded with a slight thought. Slowly operating the Great Burning Star transformation, Xiao Yan carefully experienced the various flavors within it. The body refining effect brought about by the Great Burning Star transformation is extremely good. If you continue to practice like this for a long time, your physical fitness will be greatly improved from the meridians to the flesh and blood. If you really swallow the wild fire, you will be able to capture it easily. The silent atmosphere lasted in the valley for about half an hour before a gentle breathing quietly broke it. Calm breathing circulated from Xiao Yan's nose. Xiao Yan's eyes slowly opened, and his whole breath was long and hot. This promotion not only increased the amount of fighting energy in Xiao Yan's body by several levels, but there was a huge difference between the low-level skills of the earth level and the high-level skills of the mysterious level. Moreover, Xiao Yan's strength also broke through from a 2-star great fighter to a 4-star great fighter. Xiao Yan knew that the birth of netherworld poison fire and 3,000 flames was only part of the reason why he was able to break through. The advancement of his skills with his understanding was another part of the reason. The feeling of being promoted is so wonderful. Xiao Yan stood up from the grass, opened his arms and smiled softly. At this moment, the meridians, muscles, bones and even cells in the body are full of activity. He almost had a feeling that as long as he moved his arms a little, the eager power in his body would suddenly erupt like a volcano. He clenched his fist casually, feeling the ferocious power that was about to explode at any time. Xiao Yan smiled slightly. This kind of power, if it goes to the Izumo Empire, will definitely protect the little medical fairy from growing up rapidly. Only then did Yao Lao fully understand that Xiao Yan had not only achieved a breakthrough in strength, but his new burning Ju technique had also advanced to the earthly level. The burning technique is really not something that ordinary idiots can practice. Only a little guy like Xiao Yan, who is so talented, can practice the burning technique so quickly. You know, it has only been half a year since Xiao Yan started practicing the technique. Thinking of Xiao Yan's transcendent talent, Yao Lao couldn't help but transfer this cultivation journey to himself. If he could obtain the burning technique as a young man, would he be able to improve at such a speed? After pondering for a moment, Yao Lao shook his head helplessly. He was already far behind in the fighting spirit cultivation stage alone, let alone the subsequent cultivation. After letting out a long sigh, Yao Lao fluttered his wings and flew to the sky. He really couldn't live anywhere. He didn't sleep a wink all night last night. Xiao Yan was just thinking about the growth of the little medical fairy when an ethereal voice came over. What happened in the valley? It was so hot just now. I ran my skills with all my strength, so I can compete with 1 or 2. While talking, the little medical fairy dressed in white walked up to Xiao Yan from the night. Her waist was as slender as a willow swaying in the breeze, and her white dress was wet and clung to her skin like a lily wet with morning dew, making her figure even more graceful. Xiao Yan stepped forward and said with a smile, "It's nothing serious. I just made a breakthrough in my cultivation and made some noise." "Did you make some noise?" The little medical fairy looked at Xiao Yan seriously. Just now, the situation in the valley sky changed, and a blazing red dragon energy flow rushed straight into the sky. "Is that some movement? Let's not talk about it for now. It's you who ran out so wet. The night is extremely cold." Xiao Yan raised his hand and placed it on the little doctor's shoulder, and unleashed 3,000 flames. The lavender air flow passed by, and the clothes and hair of the little medical fairy were immediately dry, with only slight wrinkles. 3,000 yen Yanhua is completely opposite to the misfortune poisoned body of the little medical immortal. With Xiao Yan injecting a small amount of it to dispel the cold, the little medical immortal only feels a heat all over his body, which is completely different from the feeling when practicing the technique. "It's so comfortable." The little medical fairy groaned, not even knowing that Xiao Yan had taken away his palm. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. Carrying 3,000 yen fire and netherworld poison fire, he knew more clearly that poison could not only harm people if it was used well. If the little medical fairy cultivates the 3 ways of poison code to an extremely deep level, he will be able to heal people. Now that I can come into contact with the healing 3,000 flames in advance, although I can't comprehend it deeply at the moment, it will be of great benefit to my future cultivation. After a moment of silence, the little medical fairy slowly opened her eyes, with some unfinished thoughts. Her long black and smooth hair exuded a faint luster, naturally hanging on her shoulders, and her watery eyes were as bright as stars. The little medical fairy didn't know it herself, but Xiao Yan could tell that her understanding was not low. "Go and prepare some food, we will start practicing later." Seeing that nothing happened, the little medical fairy said yes, turned around and walked towards the residence. Xiao Yan folded his hands in front of him, looked at the back of the little medical fairy, and nodded slightly. Under the slender waist is a round but that has developed, and under the round arc is a pair of straight and slender legs. Xiao Yan thought, "You will also be a good child when you grow up." Xiao Hong on the side laughed, "Yeah, do you want the beast to sleep well every day?" After shaking off the water stains on her body, Xiao Hong raised her head and looked at the full moon in the sky, which looked like a silver plate, and screamed up to the sky, "Ouch woo!" After sweeping away the depression in her heart, Xiao Hong lay down on the grass, smacked her lips, and started to sleep. Although this magical beast is not very fast in cultivation, it has an extremely long lifespan. Xiao Yan looked at the huge Xiao Hong beside him and suddenly his eyes shrank. Chapter 95, Heavenly Wolf Roaring the Moon, Warcraft Cultivation Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I saw that the red hair on Xiao Hong's huge body seemed to be covered with a layer of silver gauze. In the past, Xiao Yan did not notice such changes in Xiao Hong. It seemed that some kind of change occurred after her strength advanced to the 2nd level. This is absorbing the energy of the moonlight. Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched his chin, looking thoughtful. In the past, he might not have been so sensitive to this, but by absorbing the power of the stars and condensing it into 3,000 flames, he was very familiar with it. Looking at Xiao Hong who was breathing very regularly, Xiao Yan couldn't help but think seriously about this method of cultivating monsters. Warcraft has an extremely long lifespan, but before it transforms, its cultivation speed is slow. If it can master a cultivation method early and take advantage of its lifespan, it may not be able to break through to the extreme realm, but it can last longer if it is a guardianship. After standing there and watching for a moment, Xiao Yan had a general idea in his mind. Xiao Hong's efficiency is extremely low, and the energy absorbed is to warm and nourish the body, which is similar to that of people in the Dou Qi cultivation stage. There is nothing surprising about this. The physical fitness of Warcraft is extremely high. In addition to being born with it, it is closely related to the daily running and fighting of Warcraft in the forest. Nowadays, in this superficial practice, body training is naturally the top priority. Xiao Yan has been practicing Dou Qi for 11 years. After many in-depth studies on the cultivation methods he created, even some yellow-level techniques are not as effective as others. You use the Fighting Qi Foundation building technique, Burning Sky Body refining technique, 3,000 stars technique and practice experience to deduce, you have an epiphany, you have understood the technique. Serious Roaring the Moon / Chapter 96 Rage Hits the Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yao Lao fell on Xiao Yan's shoulder. You are really willing to give up. This is a second-level magic beast. It's just a second-level monster. It can be destroyed with a snap of a finger. Xiao Yan stood with his hands behind his back. The little medical fairy was not as delicate as he appeared, but he just lacked some training. Now that her strength is improving rapidly, she needs to get better at it. While speaking, the winged leopard beast had already arrived 3 feet in front of the little medical fairy. The beautiful eyes of the little medical fairy instantly became fixed, and her slender jade hands glowed with colorful light. A drop of blood was forced out from her finger and shot towards the winged leopard beast like a meteor. In an instant, the winged leopard beast seemed to freeze in place. After another breath or two, the 3-meter-long winged leopard beast fell to the ground with a crash, and a second-level magical beast died like this. Yao Lao shook his head. The poisonous body is a disaster, and whoever touches it will be unlucky. Of course, except for you who don't care about life. Yao Lao turned his head and glanced at Xiao Yan, looking at the motionless winged leopard beast. The little medical fairy sat down on the grass and gasped rapidly. This was her first time hunting a monster. After feeling a little relieved, the little medical fairy stood up and looked at the winged leopard beast. Is he really dead? It's not dead. Moreover, this corpse is extremely toxic and cannot be kept. Xiao Yan looked at the winged leopard beast with colorful lines on its huge body and felt a little horrified. The blood of those who have awakened their poisonous body is poisonous, and he knows it. What I didn't expect was that the 9-star fighter's little medical fairy could kill a second-level monster with poison so easily. What if? Xiao Yan didn't dare to think deeply about it, so he should practice hard in the future. The little medical fairy looked at his fingers in surprise. This was much better than the hard-earned fighting skills. Only Xiaohong is left. Xiao Yan touched the little medical fairy's shoulder. The little medical fairy looked up at the 2 fighting monsters and put down her little hand. Which one of them can win? Xiao Yan said. Xiaohong's overall quality is not bad. The winged leopard beast is just slightly faster, but the winged leopard beast is also a second-level magic beast, so there is not an absolute difference between the two. After a struggle, Xiaohong gasped for breath, and the blood that filled his body made Xiaohong's eyes full of fierce light. There were several blood marks on the winged leopard beast's body at this time, which also aroused the ferocity in his heart. However, he was afraid of Xiaohong's sharp teeth and claws and did not dare to step forward for a while. Xiaohong knew in her heart that if she continued to act recklessly, she would be seriously injured. Thinking of the benefits she had gained from practicing her body just now, a second picture emerged in her mind. Looking up to the sky and roaring at the moon, the light of the stars gathered all over his body like flowing water. Xiaohong slowly raised his front paws, his movements showing a different calmness and determination than before. This sudden move frightened the winged leopard beast and took a few steps back, but then, it realized that it didn't seem to have any intention of attacking, and roared angrily. The power of the stars gathered on Xiaohong's front paws during his movements, and he suddenly swung forward, and 5 blazing scratches shot out instantly. The winged leopard beast didn't expect that the monster that was fighting it hand-to-hand just now would be able to perform such a move now. The howling wind made the winged leopard beast unable to dodge for a moment and hit it hard on the head. The winged leopard rolled several times before reluctantly stopping. The front paws suddenly exerted force, and Xiaohong flew out like an arrow from the string. His bloody mouth suddenly opened, and he bit the winged leopard beast's fatal neck. The winged leopard beast's blood spurted out, and it lay on the ground wailing. Its head was severely injured, and after just a few breaths, it lost its breath. Relying on the method of mobilizing the power of the stars in the second picture, he easily killed the monsters of the same level. Xiaohong looked up to the sky and roared excitedly. Roar! The 2-winged gray wolf that had been observing for a long time in the sky roared angrily. It had gained some intelligence. It originally thought that there would be some strong people in this small valley, but now it seemed that they were just a few ants. I didn't take care of it here, but it was in a hurry. Xiao Yan raised his head and looked at the hovering 2-winged wolf. He was worried that the 4th-order magic core was difficult to obtain. The little medical fairy murmured, "This monster looks a bit extraordinary. Unusual. Are we just ordinary people?" While talking and laughing, Xiao Yan spread his arms, and the fighting energy in his body surged out, and he used the waterfall fury against the swooping winged wolf. The bright blue light flashed like a meteor piercing the night sky, and hit the two-winged wolf with a bang. A palm with full strength is naturally not as powerful as the wind leopard beast. The little medical fairy only saw a flash of bright blue light, and the huge two-winged wolf crashed into the mountain wall like a boat in the stormy waves, shaking down a lot of dust. You have used the flying waterfall palm technique many times, and you have an epiphany. You have understood the move, and a wave of rage hits the sky. The angry wave hits the sky, and the waterfall palm reaches the realm of thunder hitting the sky, and its power has reached the earth level. Yao Lao shook his head. No, the power of your palm is too light. It is no different from scratching the itch of a two-winged wolf. If the two-winged wolf could understand human speech, it would have to vomit blood. Is your family so ticklish? Then let's get a big one. Xiao Yan gave a deep shout, and output his fighting energy without any regard for the cost. A rich blue color suddenly appeared in the palms of his hands, crackling with a slight wind and thunder. A wave of rage hits the sky. As Xiao Yan shouted, the energy of heaven and earth in the valley suddenly surged. Countless energies of heaven and earth seemed to be pulled, and they were poured crazily into the huge blue ball above Xiao Yan's head. Earth-level fighting skills. Yao Lao took a breath of hot air. This is not like the many fighting skills Xiao Yan created before, but a rare masterpiece created by him. Fighting skills at the local level are rare even in the Zhongzhou area. Looking at Xiao Yan, who illuminated the entire small valley like daylight, the pupils of the two-winged wolf suddenly shrank and he tried hard to control his paralyzed body. The huge wings flapped and broke free from the cliff. At this moment, Xiao Yan instantly launched his own attack, looking at the powerful ball of light that was speeding towards him. The two-winged wolf roared, suddenly slapped out a claw, and faced the attack that would come in the blink of an eye. Boom! A huge roar echoed through the entire valley at this moment. It exploded like thunder and quickly spread around the valley. This attack exploded like the wrath of a thunder god, causing some of the monsters that were about to approach to tremble in fear and slowly retreat. After the loud noise, the two-winged wolf fell straight down the cliff into the valley like a falling meteor. Xiao Yan took a deep breath and called Xiao Hong over. Little medical fairy, I'm going to see if there is a magic core. It wasn't until Xiao Yan rode on Xiao Hong and disappeared into the night that the little medical fairy came back to his senses. Such a big monster seemed to be like a little skylark under Xiao Yan's hands. Chapter 97 Izumo Empire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Xiao Yan and the little medical immortal flew to the Izumo Empire on the Blue Eagle. Looking at the blue sky, Xiao Yan twisted the ring with his fingers and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. I didn't expect that before I left, I would get the magic core of a first and fourth level wind-attributed monster and a second level wind-attributed monster's magic core. I was really lucky. Xiao Hong looked at the two people walking away, looking up to the sky and howling in the valley. Stop howling blindly and practice well here. Yao Lao did not follow Xiao Yan, but started to deal with the aftermath. The space blockade was used, and when the space was distorted, the valley was enveloped. After protecting the valley, Yao Lao turned into a stream of light and chased Xiao Yan. The little Dr. Xianyu arranged her wind-blown hair with her hands, tilted her head and asked, We are practicing well in this small valley, why do we want to go to the Izumo Empire? Your physique requires a lot of poison. Where else can there be more poison than in the Izumo Empire? Xiao Yan smiled faintly. Not only does the little medical immortal's poisonous body need poison, but his netherworld poison fire also needs poison to be cultivated quickly. Looking at the rapidly moving backward woods below, the little doctor said, How long will we stay in the Izumo Empire? When we go to the Izumo Empire, it's not just a simple practice. Xiao Yan said vaguely. Xiao Yan looked up into the distance and stood with his hands behind his back. He needed too many cultivation resources, but the Gamma Empire simply couldn't supply them. The territory of the Izumo Empire is no smaller than the Garma Empire. In some respects it is even wider than the Garma Empire. However, compared with the Gamma Empire, the Izumo Empire undoubtedly appears to be much more chaotic. Poison Master, a profession that was almost despised by everyone in the Gamma Empire, was extremely prosperous in the Izumo Empire. In a city, people wearing Poison Master robes can be seen almost everywhere. In the Izumo Empire, there is a scene that is rarely seen in the Gamma Empire, and that is the use of poison. In every city in this empire, there are some shopping malls dedicated to selling poisons. Everything related to poisons can be purchased in these places. Of course, the more toxic something is, the more expensive it is. Even with Xiao Yan's flying mount, it took nearly 3 or 4 days to reach the border city of the Izumo Empire, Rotten Bone City. After a long journey, after letting Xiao Lan rest temporarily in the dense forest outside the city, Xiao Yan and the little medical fairy entered the city to explore the way first. When he came to the Izumo Empire, Xiao Yan was ready to help the little medical fairy establish the poison sect. In fact, this is not to help the little medical fairy. The little medical fairy's sect is not as yet. There was a smell of poison in the Rotten Bone City. As soon as the two entered the Rotten Bone City, Xiao Yan had a clearer understanding of the chaos in the Izumo Empire. Looking at the brawlers throwing poison everywhere, the little medical fairy whispered, "If they are like this in the city, no one will care about them." "You ask me? How do I know? It's my first time here. Let's stay out of other people's business." Xiao Yan glanced at it, then didn't look any further, and searched for shops selling medicinal materials and magic cores in the city. In the past few days, he seemed to have reviewed the matters of refining medicine and making poison. After walking for a while, Xiao Yan and the little medical fairy slowly entered the store. They saw an old man in the store, with the usual shrewdness of a businessman on his face. The little medical fairy saw that this old man was very similar to the original Haibuodong, so he couldn't help but whisper in Xiao Yan's ear, "Isn't this man also a powerful person in the hidden world? You are really whimsical. How can there be so many hidden strong men?" Xiao Yan glanced at the old man, but he was just a fighting master. At such an age, his cultivation talent is almost negligible. "Little brother, what are you going to ask for?" Seeing Xiao Yan and the little medical fairy muttering, the old man stood up quickly and said with a smile, "These two people were dressed luxuriously, and they started biting each other as soon as they entered the house. It was obvious that they had sneaked out without telling the family. These young people were young and careless, and they were simply synonymous with fat sheep." Xiao Yan scanned the store where he was for a week and said calmly, "Take out all the medicinal materials and magic cores here." "Little brother, what is this?" The old man was shocked. Xiao Yan said casually, "I want them all." Although the shop is not big, the total cost of all these items is 200,000 to 300,000 gold coins. Although the old man wanted to take a bite of the fat sheep at first, he never expected that it was a big fat pig. "Not only was I full now, I might even have to hold on to it." Xiao Yan touched the ring with his fingers and took out a purple gold card. 5 ripples of different colors flashed on the card. The old man took a closer look and felt a little shocked. 5 marked purple gold card. In Dou Qi Continent, one needs at least the strength of Dou Ling to be qualified to apply for this gold card that represents identity. Of course, some big forces also have this qualification. He said that the handsome black-robed young man in front of him was a strong spirit fighter, and he wouldn't even believe it if he beat the old man to death. It would be great to have a fighter. However, the old man had no intention of taking advantage of others, and now that he saw that he had a good background, he naturally did not dare to do so. "Master, please wait a moment." The old man started to take things with a smile. Xiao Yan walked to the door and waited quietly. Glancing at the busy old man, the little medical fairy whispered, "They say wealth should not be leaked. Isn't it not good to buy like this when you just come to a place where you are unfamiliar with life?" Xiao Yan folded his hands in front of him. "Don't worry, since I dare to buy it, I have the strength to defend it. These medicinal materials are somewhat toxic and are good materials for making poisons. There are also some medicinal materials that are not commonly seen in the Jiama Empire. Just buy them all at once." To establish the poison sect, he didn't want to select each person carefully. If he wanted to quickly become a force, he would have to make a big splash. With Dou Zun and Yao Lao behind him, Xiao Yan really has nothing to fear in the Izumo Empire. Moreover, the 2nd-level Wind Attribute Magic Core of the Wind Leopard Beast and the 4th-level Wind Attribute Magic Core of the Winged Demon Wolf are very consistent with Xiaolan's attributes. They are just matched with the medicinal materials to refine 2 furnaces of elixirs to help accelerate his growth. Xiao Yan doesn't have a clue yet about the training methods suitable for Xiaolan, but this does not mean that he has not made breakthroughs in other aspects. As a mount, Xiao Yan will contribute more in the Izumo Empire in the future, and the strength of the first level is really low. Seeing Xiao Yan's confident look, the little medical fairy felt a sense of peace of mind. After waiting for half an hour, the old man sorted out everything in the store. After paying the gold coins, Xiao Yan put the things in the Neji, asked the old man where he could rent a small courtyard, and then he and the little medical fairy walked to the place the old man said. Chapter 98 Random Thoughts on the Training of Warcraft. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After renting a large courtyard, Xiao Yan asked the little medical fairy to rest. He sat cross-legged on the grass in the backyard and started combing it carefully. He has read a lot of prescriptions in the past half-year. He is already familiar with the pills that human cultivators take to improve their cultivation, such as Purple Heart Barrier Breaking Pill, Dou Ling Pill, and Emperor Ji Pill. In recent days, Xiao Yan has sorted out some knowledge about medicinal materials, and Xiao Yan has a complete idea in mind about the prescription for improving the cultivation of Warcraft. Warcraft is different from humans in that they have extremely strong physical fitness, but they do not have the training techniques to guide them. Humans, on the other hand, need to practice fighting spirit to build their foundation at the beginning, and it is difficult to find suitable elixirs. Only after they become fighters can they withstand the impact of the medicine. Therefore, there is no need to worry too much about the violent nature of the elixir taken by the Warcraft. What is more important is that this strong potency is within the tolerance of the Warcraft, and it can also accelerate its absorption and refining, since alchemists can refine elixirs such as transformation pills that are effective against monsters. Perhaps in ancient times, there were pills that could enhance the strength of monsters, but as time went by, these prescriptions were almost lost. As night fell, Xiao Yan, who closed his eyes in deep thought, slowly opened his eyes. Did you sense it? Someone is coming. Yao Lao said, standing on a branch. Not even a fighting spirit. Xiao Yan murmured and closed his eyes again. Although the owner of the store was not prepared to engage in the business of killing people and selling goods, the contents of the store were directly emptied. This big news was known to all the powerful forces in Rotten Bone City. The young boys and girls, who have just arrived and don't have much strength yet, are naturally the big fat sheep because they spend so much money. A serious boss wouldn't dare to do it, but the big forces in Rotten Bone City were eyeing Xiao Yan and the two of them. The three groups of Wudu Sect, Iron Cha Society, and Gui Sha Sect each mobilized their elite members to surround Xiao Yan's courtyard. On the wall, a thin man with colorful lines on his face said, "Master, let's do something. The poisons raised by the brothers are already hungry and thirsty." While he was talking, a strange black bee landed on the hand of the old man next to the man. Looking at the hovering bees, the old man nodded slightly, put it away, and said in a deep voice, "You think it's just our 5 poison sect who's here? Could it be that the Iron Cha Society and the Ghost Demon Sect are here too?" The thin man's face turned cold. "These two forces usually have friction with us. Forget about those trivial matters, now this fat guy wants to come and grab it with us." That the old man smiled gloomily. "Just wait, let them take the lead first, and then we will clean them up." From the other two directions, the Taicha Society and the Guishao Sect also noticed each other through their own means, and were not in a hurry to take action for a while. The three major forces unanimously acted as guards for Xiao Yan's residence. As night fell, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. "You deduced based on Yao Lao's collection of prescriptions, and you had an epiphany. You understood random thoughts on the cultivation of Warcraft /. Chapter 99 The Establishment of the Poison Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master, please spare your life." Niu Disheng plopped and knelt on the ground. Seeing that the helmsman actually knelt down and begged for mercy, the group of people behind Niu Disheng noticed that all the Gui Sha cult members were dead. Looking at the huge flame giant, even fools in this group of people knew what was going on. Their legs weakened and they all knelt down in front of Xiao Yan. Whether you can survive depends on whether you are honest or not. "Xiaolan, look at these people." Xiao Yan put away the flame god and ran towards the front yard. Only now did Yao Lao come to his senses. This flame god was indeed powerful, the defense is extremely strong and the attack is invincible. With just a stretch of his arm, he can easily kill more than 10 people. Now Xiao Yan's strength is mediocre. If he reaches the level of Dou Zun in the future, his fighting spirit will be endless and as majestic as the sea. Who knows how far he can evolve? Just when Xiao Yan eliminated the ghost sect, the 5 poison sect had already rushed into the front yard. Let Tai Chahui fight with the ghost sect to the death first. Most of the others who steal things are sneaky and like to go to the backyard. The 5 poison sect, must enter openly and openly. It's all the same. The little medical fairy slowly opened the door and looked at the dozen or so people calmly. The old man laughed and said, "You are smart, little girl. With the methods of my 5 poison sect, sooner or later, everything you two have will be mine. Please hand over the Neji in your hand. The Na ring is here. If you have the ability, come and get it yourself." The little medical fairy shook the red Na ring in her hand. "It seems that if I don't give you something powerful, you don't know how powerful my 5 poison sect is." The old man's expression suddenly changed, and he raised his hand and waved out 5 streaks of colorful poison powder. The thin man looked at it and smiled sinisterly. This was poisonous powder ground from the extremely powerful 5 poison scorpion, and had been processed through 7749 kinds of poisons. The most powerful thing about this poisonous powder is not that it kills people, but the itching and stinging sensation that feels like thousands of ants biting the whole body after the poison is released. It really makes people unable to survive or die. The little medical fairy raised her hand to block it, and frowned slightly as she looked at the colorful colors on her palm. The old man looked at the little medical fairy with a smile. He could still take a few breaths later without using his hands to block it. When the poisonous powder touches his skin, he would be rolling around on the ground begging for mercy. After 3 or 5 breaths, the old man's expression changed and he looked at the little medical fairy who was still standing there as if nothing was wrong. "Aren't you feeling uncomfortable?" Feeling the refining poison powder, a little bit of fighting spirit grew in her body. The little Dr. Fairy Lu's eyebrows relaxed slightly. Although the smell was a bit unpleasant, this poison was a tonic for her to increase her strength. "Why am I feeling uncomfortable?" The little medical fairy followed Xiao Yan's example, folding her hands in front of her body and leaning on the door frame. "What a fucking ghost." The old man looked at the little medical fairy who could still speak normally, took out a whistle and blew it hard. Countless poisonous bees came to the courtyard like black clouds covering the moon. "To deal with this little girl, we need to use the 5 venom bee. Grandpa, isn't this a bit of a waste?" The thin man became anxious and stopped following the rules of respect in the family. After the 5 venomous wasp launches its stinger, it won't take long for it to survive. To cultivate these 5 venom wasps, it takes 3 years to absorb the 5 poisons. If I can't even poison this little girl, I am not the leader of the 5 poison sect, nor your grandfather. The old man blew the whistle again and looked at the little medical fairy with blazing eyes. The whistle blew, and the swarm of bees in the sky buzzed. Thousands of venomous bees shot out from their tails, and thousands of poisonous bees moved together, like a drizzle. Seeing this dense attack, the fighting spirit in the little medical fairy's body surged rapidly. On the surface of the body, the colorful fighting spirit gradually burst out of the body, and finally formed an obvious colorful veil of fighting spirit outside the body. The energy gauze that catalyzes fighting spirit into possession is the sign of a strong fighting master. This kind of energy gauze can not only enhance the owner's defense, speed, and attack, but also better absorb energy from the outside world to replenish the owner's internal consumption. A strong fighting master. The old man took a breath. He had never heard of such a young fighting master, let alone seen him. Want to rely on the Dou Qi gauze for defense? The thin man sneered. The 5 poisonous bees have been specially cultivated and their stings are extremely toxic. Even the Dou Qi armor of the great fighter cannot withstand so many sting bombardments. The poisonous thorns shot towards the little medical fairy's fighting spirit gauze like a sudden storm, and all the colorful rays of light were seen, all of which melted into the little medical fairy's fighting spirit gauze. In the brilliant light, the 5 poisonous sects all looked at each other with their mouths agape. Why do they feel that this little girl is becoming more and more energetic as she becomes more poisonous? The light faded, and the little medical fairy slowly exhaled a breath. This is quite interesting. Thank you for helping me break through the 5-star fighting master. Grandpa, is this man a ghost? The emaciated man's face turned pale. With so many poisonous stings piercing his face, even a 9-star fighting master should have been poisoned. The person in front of me directly became stronger through this. The old man took several steps back in despair. He had studied the 5 colorful poison powder and the 5 poisonous bees for many years, and recently he had achieved great success. He originally wanted to defeat the Iron Cha Society and the Gui Sha cult in one fell swoop, but he didn't expect that he couldn't even deal with a little girl. Standing still, the old man raised his hand and pointed at the little medical fairy. Don't call me grandpa, she is your grandpa. Ah. The thin man frowned slightly. Even if grandpa falls in love with her, it must be grandma. Xiao Yan jumped off the roof with a smile. I didn't expect you to take care of people before I even took action. Who are these people? The little medical fairy really didn't like this group of people. What do you want to do? Seeing Xiao Yan falling from the sky, the old man was suddenly startled. He immediately regained his consciousness and mobilized his majestic fighting spirit. Women are so powerful, isn't this man even more powerful? Xiao Yan smiled and said, you old man is really interesting. It's obviously you who broke into my house at night, but you asked us what we were doing. That the old man said in a deep voice, we, the 5 poison sects, are blind, so if you want to kill or behead him, please give him a quick word. Come with me. Xiao Yan pulled the little medical fairy towards the backyard. Grandpa, what is this? The thin man did not dare to move for a while. Follow us and take a look. In the backyard, there was no one around, except for a first-order blue eagle. It was inevitable that someone in the Iron Fork Club had other thoughts. Helmsman, let's escape. Niu Dishing turned a deaf ear and knelt on the ground honestly. If you want to run away, run away. With that young man's strength, I'm afraid he won't be able to get out of this courtyard wall, and you will catch up with the Guisha sect. Xiao Yan led people to the backyard. When he heard this, he laughed. Don't worry, I won't kill you. But from now on, your power will be gone, and only the poison sect will be left. After hearing this, Niu Disheng and the leader of the 5 poison sect hardly hesitated and immediately bowed their heads and agreed. If we don't agree, I'm afraid not only the name of the power will be lost, but also people like them. Chapter 100 Poison Sect, Rock Protector. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since the establishment of the poison sect, this sect has gradually become a famous mad dog force in the Izumo Empire. Whenever the poison sect passes by, the medicinal materials and magic cores in the city will inevitably be restrained. At first, such a piece of fat would inevitably be targeted by some powerful forces. But the strange thing is that these forces that attacked the poison sect were either destroyed by the poison sect or absorbed by the poison sect. In just a year or so, the poison sect became a huge force that almost ruled 1/3 of the Izumo Empire. Because of the poison sect's crazy behavior and speed of development, in addition to being frightened, this poison sect also earned the title of Mad Dog. Sentient Mansion, a famous force in the Izumo Empire, is located on a mountain with 9 twists and turns like a centipede. There are many poisons on the mountain peaks, and even 5th-level monsters dare not approach due to that gloomy aura. The leader's name is Sentia, and his strength has reached around the peak of Dou Huang. In Sentient Mansion, there was a very spacious hall, where many powerful people gathered today, all with the strength of Dou Huang level, and the person sitting in the first place at the highest point is the owner of Sentient Mansion, Sentia. The old man was dressed in light green robes, and the most eye-catching thing was that there was a jet-black centipede painted on his face. Coupled with the wrinkles and trembling on its face, the centipede is like a living creature, slowly squirming, giving people a cold and evil aura. Everyone, what kind of wind blew you all here today? Centipede said with a dry smile. A thin middle-aged man under Centipeda's left hand stood up and said, Old Mansion Master Centipede, you are like a mirror in your heart. Everyone is counting on you. Everyone nodded and looked at Centipede Cliff expectantly. Sentia glanced at the 4 people who came to worship the mountain, and frowned slightly. Although he is not afraid of the people from the poison sect, he is the secret hidden by the 10,000 Scorpions sect. How can he alone decide on such a collision with the poison sect, a traumatic action? The skinny middle-aged man continued, Old Mansion Master Centipede, the poison sect has gone too far in recent times. At first, it was just a small fight with some small people, but now it is actually doing it with a big force like us who has a strong king fighter. Get it right. Moreover, this poison sect lion is not afraid of stretching himself to death even if he opens his mouth wide. Opposite the middle-aged man, an old man in gold robe stood up and took out a purple post from his neji. It was given to our 4 major forces at once. I believe you have also received the post, right? Centipede silently took out a purple post with a black and white flame mark printed on it, the same as the one in the hand of the golden-robed old man. Needless to say, he was really surprised when he received this post. The poison sect has indeed developed well in recent years, but Sentient Mansion has a peak Dou Huang expert in charge. With his poison skill, even foreign Dou sect experts can deal with it. Seeing that Centipede took out this post, everyone silently took out their own posts. At the end, there was a short old man with a pair of shrewd eyes. He looked deeply at the black and white flame marks on the post and said solemnly, "If you receive this post, you will either be recruited by the poison sect, or..." Although the little old man didn't say anything, everyone knew in their hearts that those who refused the poison sect's invitation have now disappeared and been destroyed by the poison sect. When I came here, the poisonous spider sect had been destroyed. The short old man shook his head and sighed. There was some commotion in the hall. Although the people present were not ordinary people, when they heard this extremely familiar name, it was like a bomb that shocked everyone in the hall. Although they had received some news in the past 2 days, the destruction of the poisonous spider sect still made them feel that they were right to come to Sentient Mansion today. Tang Tian and his son from the poison spider sect were both at the Dou Huang level, but they were even stronger than them, and they were actually destroyed by the poison sect. The old man in red robe, who had been silent, raised his head and looked at Centipede. The arrogance of this poison sect is getting more and more arrogant, that the eyes of the other 3 people also looked forward to it. If they were tied to Centipede Cliff, they would be one of the top forces in the Izumo Empire. A strange light flashed in Centipede's eyes. Being able to destroy the poisonous spider sect like this is indeed a bit of strength, but ordinary Dou Huang, even if they are tied together, is not the opponent of the peak Dou Huang. He could understand what these people were thinking. If you can win him over to the 10,000 Scorpions sect, that will be a great achievement. It's a pity that Centipede, who sent the message, hasn't replied yet. He can't make a decision on such a big matter. At this moment, a voice shook the sky. Poison sect, Protector Yan came to pay a visit. The red-robed old man cursed angrily with a hot temper. Damn it, he actually came to our door before we even took action here. Centipede also had an angry look on his face. When these 2 young men came out to make a name for themselves, they didn't know how high the sky was. Let's go, I want to see what this poison sect is capable of. Centipede slapped his hand on the chair suddenly, and a pair of fighting spirit wings suddenly appeared behind him, and shot out of the hall like a cannonball. Looking at Centipede's movements, the 4 of them looked at each other and smiled. Centipede was still hesitant just now, but poison sect helped them by doing this. The 4 of them followed up quickly. Above the sky, under the impact of the majestic momentum, even the clouds in the sky were shattered into countless tiny points, scattered all over the sky. Before the 4 people from Centipede arrived, an aura enveloped the entire mountain range. For a time, the originally quiet and eerie mountain peaks fell into silence, and the horrified eyes in Sentient Mansion turned to the place where the momentum came from in the sky. In the Izumo Empire, no force has dared to approach Sentient Mansion like this. Xiao of the poison sect, dare to attack my Sentient Mansion. Not long after the momentum enveloped the mountain peak, suddenly a large number of figures suddenly rushed out from the peak of the mountain range, and finally fell to the ground and suspended in the sky. The first person was Sentient Mansion Sentia. The sneer from his mouth, mixed with fighting spirit, rumbled across the sky like rolling thunder. Looking at the figure flashing in the sky, Sentient Mansion suddenly began to boil. As the head of Sentient Mansion, Sentia has an unparalleled reputation here. People in the Izumo Empire respect the strong, and Centipede's reputation comes from his strength. Everyone in Sentient Mansion had not seen the old mansion master take action for a long time, and everyone was extremely excited. Centipede squinted his eyes slightly and scanned the sky. After a moment, he suddenly stopped. Where his eyes stopped, he saw a young man in black robe at the top of the mountain in the distance. The young man had a delicate appearance, sitting casually on the top of the mountain. His dark eyes looked unusually gentle and deep, and there was a flame mark on his forehead. The black robe on his slender body exudes a free and easy temperament, and he carries a giant black ruler on his back, full of inexplicable pressure.